You're not broke, but you're not okay either. And that space right there, that in-between place where you're earning money, paying your bills, doing what you're supposed to do, but still feeling like you're one unexpected expense away from everything falling apart, that is exactly where this channel lives. My name is Claire, and before I get into anything else, I want to say something that most finance channels will never say to you. You are not the problem. Think about the last time you got paid. For maybe a day, two, if you were lucky, your account looked decent. You felt that little exhale, that brief moment of, okay, I got this. And then the mortgage hit, or the rent, the car payment, the insurance, because in America, you are paying insurance on everything. Your car, your health, your home, your life. The groceries, because if you've been to a grocery store lately, you already know that $200 does not buy what it used to. The utility bills, the subscriptions, the random charge you forgot about that shows up at the worst possible time. And just like that, that exhale is gone. You are back to watching your bank account like it is a countdown timer. And here's the part that nobody talks about honestly. You are not overspending. You are not being reckless. You are not making dramatic financial mistakes. You are just living a completely normal American life. And somehow, that is still not enough. I want to tell you something I learned after years working inside corporate finance. I sat in rooms where serious money was being managed, where wealthy people made decisions about their assets, their investments, their long-term financial strategies. And what struck me every single time was not how smart those people were. It was how much they knew that nobody had ever bothered to teach everyone else. Not in school, not at home, nowhere. We spent 13 years in the American education system. We learned algebra, we read Shakespeare, we memorized the branches of government and the dates of wars that ended before our grandparents were born. And not one class, not one single lesson, taught us what compound interest actually does to a car loan over 6 years. Nobody explained why your credit score can drop after you pay off a debt. Nobody showed us what a 30-year mortgage actually costs when you add up every single payment from the first one to the last. We handed 18-year-old student loan documents worth $40,000, $60,000, sometimes six figures, before they had ever paid a single bill, and said sign here, without explaining what happens when life gets hard and you fall behind on payments. We graduated, educated, and completely financially unprepared. And then something interesting happens. You enter the workforce, you work hard, you get the raises. Maybe you even hit a salary that sounds impressive when you say it out loud. And yet, the feeling never really goes away. The anxiety, the tightness in your chest when an unexpected bill shows up, the quiet embarrassment of having a good job and still living paycheck to paycheck, the confusion of watching your income go up every few years while your financial stress somehow stays exactly the same. That is not a coincidence. There is a name for what you are experiencing, and it is called the middle-class money trap. And it is not about how much you earn. It is about a set of invisible financial systems that were built around the middle class, not for the middle class. The tax structure that takes a bigger real percentage from salaried workers than it does from people who earn through investments. The credit system that rewards people who already have money and punishes people who are just starting to build it. The banking system that makes billions off the savings accounts of everyday Americans while paying those same Americans almost nothing in return. The retirement system that puts all the responsibility on the individual worker while quietly shifting all the risk onto them too. None of this is an accident, and none of it is your fault. But here is the thing about a trap. Once you can see it clearly, specifically, by name, it loses most of its power over you. That is what Claire Audits is. Not a channel that tells you to cut your streaming subscriptions and suddenly become wealthy. Not a channel that hypes you up about the latest investment trend and then disappears when it crashes. Not a channel that talks to you like you should already know this stuff and makes you feel stupid for asking basic questions. This is a channel that sits down with you, like a knowledgeable friend who happens to understand how these systems actually work, and walks you through exactly what is happening to your money and why. We are going to talk about credit scores, not the surface level, pay your bills on time advice you have heard 100 times. The real mechanics, why the system works the way it does, how to stop being controlled by a 3-digit number and start using it strategically. We are going to talk about debt, without shame, without judgment, with actual strategy. We are going to talk about what your bank is not telling you, about what your mortgage statement is not showing you up front, about what your 401k prospectus buries in the fine print on page 47 that actually matters more than anything on page 1. We are going to talk about investing, starting from absolute zero, starting with fear, starting with $100 if that is all you have. No jargon, no gatekeeping, just the real information that actually moves the needle for regular people. And we are going to go deep into the psychology of money, because in my experience, the financial struggle is almost never just about numbers. It's about how we were raised to think about money, the beliefs we inherited, the shame that keeps smart people from looking at their own bank accounts, the identity that has to shift before the finances can. I have seen people in this country earning $200,000 a year who are genuinely broke, living in the right neighborhood, driving the right car, looking completely fine on the outside, and panicking quietly every single month. And I have watched people earning $40,000 a year build real, lasting financial security, not because they had a lucky break or some secret investment tip, but because they understood a handful of things that most Americans never get taught. The difference was never the income, it was always the knowledge. And that knowledge, the real version of it, not the watered-down version, is exactly what this channel is going to give you, every single week. So if you have ever felt like you are running as fast as you can and somehow still falling behind, if you have ever sat down to figure out your finances and felt more confused after than you did before, if you have ever wondered why nobody ever explained any of this clearly, you are in the right place. New videos every Tuesday and Friday. No jargon, no shame, no shortcuts. Just the money truths they should have taught us a long time ago. My name is Claire, this is Claire Audits, and I will see you in the next video.